Hello and welcome to a horror-themed Craig's Critique. Why horror-themed, you ask? Even though it's not Halloween or anything like that. Well, it's just the way it's fallen. We have one cinematic released horror film and one classic horror film that I've watched this week. So let's get down to the cinematic released horror film that I saw this week, which was It Follows. And I'm going to describe the premise of the film, because describing the premise does not spoil it in any way, because very quickly into the film this is explained to you anyway. So here we go. Our main lead in this film is young Micah Monroe, who's a 19-year-old girl in this film. She's been on a few dates with this young guy. They go on a date to a cinema, where the boyfriend just gets spooked for no apparent reason, it appears. But they go off. He makes excuses saying he's ill and he wasn't feeling too great. That's why he wants to leave. And they go off in his car. A few hours later, they effectively make out, have sex, and pretty much right after that, this guy, he knocks her out using chloroform and takes her to a remote location and ties her up to a chair. What he then proceeds to describe is that something has been following him. It will no longer follow him. It will now follow her, for he has passed it on to her through the act of having sex. You will not know who it is. It can take the form of a stranger. It will take the form of somebody you know. But it will come at you at walking pace. But you will know because it will be making a beeline for you. So yeah, what then proceeds for the rest of the film is her, first of all, in order to prove this, he has gone to this remote location, and then this thing has approached them. He can still see it also, even though he's passed it on to her. If she was to die, it will come back to him again. And that's the point he's trying to make, and say, you go have sex with somebody else now. Pass this on to somebody else. Keep on passing it on. Keep on passing it on. So it's a never-ending cycle. So then, obviously, what proceeds for the rest of the film is a relentless... How can I describe this? A relentless... Well, trying to get away from it, really, more than anything. What is refreshing about this film is the fact that they don't try and explain what this is, as such. There's no... Well, we found out what this is now. Now we know how to defeat it, or anything like that. It's just pure terror of it. It is coming for you. It is coming for you. All you can do is try and get away, or try and pass it on if you want. But obviously, you've got to do the same sort of thing that he's done. And it's such a simple premise that its simpleness is its effectiveness. The fact that they can create the act of somebody walking towards you as something as scary as hell it is fascinating. Like I say, its simpleness is its effectiveness in this sense. And also what is refreshing is that obviously in this sort of film you have your general teen friends and so on and so forth who are very dismissive of the sort of person who is claiming for these things to be happening to them. It's very quickly gotten out of the way that it is apparent that this is happening. This is happening. There's no ambiguousness about this. It is happening. They experience it and see it for themselves. We don't see it for themselves, but they see it happening to her. And I'm able to believe her, which is very refreshing for this sort of film, because there's usually a whole thing going on about, oh really, we don't believe you, and then it obviously happens to them or something, so on and so forth. So it's very good in that aspect. It's got some very good characters, very good friend characters for wanted horror films. And a great tenseness about the whole thing. What sells this film overall, I think, other than the overall simpleness of the idea, is the fabulous, absolutely fabulous, almost John Carpenter-ness style stroke tribute of a film score. It is a piercing, pulsing, it's a loud horror score, but then when it does go into the quiet bits, it's very Halloween in terms of its John Carpenter tribute in a way. It's without it, although it acknowledges those sort of films of the late 70s, early 80s, stalker films and things like that, it isn't doing it with a wink. It's almost going, it's not going, yes, we know what we're doing. It's almost, yes, we're doing it. There's no joke about it. We're doing something in this vein because it was so effective then, and we're trying to make it to the same effectiveness for a new area, a new age, a new generation. And that is why you must go see this film. Because I'm a massive horror fan. And it's hard for me to get excited about horror films these days because the amount of remakes, the amount of sequels to films that I think aren't worthy of sequels. And Hostel. Yeah. So when an original horror film comes along and it is this good, in my opinion, it's this good. It's a worthy footnote in the history of modern horror films. It is that sort of effective. So, Maika Monroe is great in this film. She sells it completely. I can say the score is just outstanding. The pacing is brilliant. The panning shots of seeing things and not seeing things, because sometimes you're seeing it from her point of view, sometimes you're not seeing it you're seeing it from her friend's point of view. So it's a good different aspect of almost every angle of seeing what's going on. It's fabulous. It's a fabulous horror film. A little bit at the end, kind of, it's okay. But the final scene sells it again. It saves it. The final scene saves it and gets it back to what it was good at during that film. So yeah, it's a fabulous horror film. It's worth a watch for horror fans of old and new. So watch this horror film, please. It is really, really good. Yeah. There we go. That was It Follows. So the classic horror film I'm reviewing this week is a film from the godfather of zombie films, the original 1978 Dawn of the Dead. Mr. George A. Romero, as we all know, is the godfather of the zombie film. Pretty much laid out all the what do you call them? The rules, if you want, the rules of zombie films. Until those damn pesky Danny Boyle decided he wanted to do something different, and it was still good. But yeah, let's go back to, sorry, I'm just going to a side note there. Go back to Dawn of the Dead, and we will start with why it's good. Because I don't think all of it is good. There's brilliant things about it, and there's some things that I don't think are brilliant. First of all, because zombies have appeared in the film world before this. As we all know, he did Night of the Living Dead, was it 10 years before this? So and to actually do a sequel to a film that was such well received also is, and such a long time in terms of time between them. It was fascinating. Yeah, sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. So yeah, we'll start with effectively, there's a disease obviously that's going around. It's turned people into zombies. The way you contract or become a zombie is by being bitten by them. That is the only way. It's a great idea. We have members of an elite team in our sort of troupe, and we have a TV broadcaster and her partner, helicopter pilot, who get into a helicopter, go to a helipad, get in a helicopter, and effectively just are flying over the country to see if there's anywhere they can make a safe haven for themselves. They come across this mall and they think, oh, we'll land on top of this mall. It's quite safe there, and we'll maybe venture into the mall to see if there's any way we can get supplies and so on and so forth like that. So it's a great premise from that point of view. When they get there, they decide, oh, wait a minute, if we can actually clear this mall, this is a very good place for us to hold up for a bit until we figure out what we want to do. So they do that. They clear up the wall and they make themselves pretty much at home. What then proceeds is a kind of almost too comfortableness about the film and the characters themselves. They could keep on doing this, staying there, but the thing outside and the thing that they're trying to get with them is still going on. So they're not really getting away from it, really. Now, what I like about the film is some of the themes and some of the ideas behind it. What I do like is I'll go into Tom Savini's special effects, which are just outstanding. there's questionable there's questionable stuff about whether he should have done the zombies, made them grey. Probably not. But the realness of the effects and the zombies is disgustingly outstanding. For a horror fan, it's fantastic. For the squirmish, it's not so great, of course. But for the not easily offended, it's wonderful to see, and it's quite inventive. Tom Savini is great. His little role later in the film, which I'll go into at a certain point. I also love the ideas of there's some great quotable lines in this film, and there's a bit where they're talking about about the zombies coming to the mall, because obviously they don't particularly know the humans are there, and there's the idea that they're almost going through their past memories and what they used to do and enjoy. So they go to the mall because it's familiar to them in a way. And there's obviously the whole sort of thing of people going to malls being zombies and things like that. Everyone's doing the same thing. Zombies are all doing the same thing. Comments like that. That's really, really good and interesting. Good points. Really interesting points to make. Yeah. So really good stuff there. The obvious thing about the film that people will point out is the fact that it was made on such a small budget. There's an awful lot of, it's fair to say, not a high quality look about the whole thing. Tom Savini does a fantastic job with the special effects, but there's other stuff about it that is very. It's not hard to watch. It's not hard to watch, but it's noticeable to a point. It shouldn't detract from the film because of the overall themes of the film, but it's a point worth making, I feel. So yeah, obviously, as I was saying about them getting a bit too comfortable with their surroundings in this film, they come to a point where other people on the outside world realise this might be a very good place to also. So obviously they got the same idea, and it comes a part of, do we fight for this, or do we not fight for this? Is it worth fighting for? Should we even be here in the first place? And yeah, and Tom Savini is part of one of these. It's effectively a biker group that tries to take over and ransack them all and get supplies for themselves and so on and so forth. I won't say what happens at the end because I don't want to sort of not spoil, but just want to tell you the ending, to be honest. But yeah, some really good stuff in there. Some really good things. Some really good special effects. Some of the look of it has dated without a doubt. And it's fair to say it took a long time after the Romero for zombie films to then make a reappearance again. So they are very much a particular taste type of horror film. Because they're not scary, really. It's not a scary horror film, it's almost a gruesome horror film. It's almost, in certain parts, it's a social satire. It's a satire in a way. And it certainly has moments of comedy in it as well. Some of the music and some of the score towards when the zombies are just on the screen themselves. It makes them comedy characters in a way. It's really interesting also. But yeah, it's without a doubt worth a look. And I must say, I'll mention this, but even though I previously mentioned early on about remakes of horror films, the remake, the Dawn of the Dead remake, it was made by Zack Snyder, is actually a pretty damn good remake for a horror film. Obviously, it's not. I wouldn't say it's as good at all as the original, but it's without a doubt a damn decent remake for one. So it's probably worth a look also. So if you don't feel you want to go back to the 1978, which I do advise you do anyway, take a look at the Zack Snyder one. It's decent also. But yeah, so Dawn of the Dead, there we go. That's the classic film of the week. Classic reviewed film of the week.